All right, welcome everyone to the first episode of Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR. I'm Gonzo. You might hear Mike call me Steve as well. That's okay. Gonzo's a nickname. I'm Gonzo, and I'm from the '80s. And what I mean by that, I wasn't born in the '80s. It means I was born in the late '60s, but I came of age, graduated high school, joined the army, partied, and all the things that I did and become an adult in the '80s. So that's me.
And I'm Mike. I'm just a little bit younger than Steve. I was born in the 70s. I was a teenager just about all the way through the 80s. And you'll probably pick up bits and pieces about me as we go along through the podcast.
Everyone's already hearing the accent, Mike. I'm not going to call that out, but I just called it out, right? So here's what we're going to do on Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR. We're going to take a look or take a retake a look at some of the best and probably some of the worst movies from the '80s, '90s, and beyond. What we'll do is we're going to give you our take on the movies, and I'm betting you, based upon the list of some of the movies that Mike already had sent me, I'm betting you we won't always agree, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so we'll give you our take. We'll make a recommendation. Our recommendation is going to be either watch the thing or throw that video cassette tape in the trash can. And we're also going to give each movie a rating. We've got 5 ratings. Like from worst to best. Worst rating is, hey, take a bathroom break. You don't even need to watch this movie, right? It's terrible. Next rating is no snacks. Maybe I'll sit and watch it, but I'm not that interested. I don't need snacks. Sort of the middle rating is I'll sip on a Coke, right? Now, I don't know if you say pop, Mike. Do you call it pop or Coke?
I'm from the South, so we called everything Coke. So it didn't matter if you were having a Pepsi, a Sprite, a Mountain Dew, everything was a Coke.
Yeah, so that's perfect, and that's why I wanted to ask that question because I call everything a Coke pretty much, but sometimes soda. But if someone said Coke is the middle rating, I'll sip a Coke and watch this movie. So hey, a pretty good rating is a Coke and some popcorn. So that's going to be like our you know a better than average rating, and then the best rating. This is for me. You guys can change. It's a Coke, popcorn, and a box of Raisinets because Raisinets were what I grew up with when I had candy at the movies. I love the Raisinets. And anyone you can insert, Mike, you too. You can insert your own candy in there if you're not a Raisinets fan. What's your candy that you like?
As soon as you said Raisinets, I went to Goobers.
Oh, Goobers. Oh yeah, Goobers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Raisinets, the raisins covered in chocolate. Goobers, peanuts covered in chocolate. Correct.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that's what we're gonna do here. So let's get started. Please, everybody, silence your cell phones. Right. I'm gonna check that I did that to mine already. Yep, I did it. So, is your cell phone silenced, Michael?
We are good to go, Gonzo.
All right, very good. So, our premiere episode for this podcast is we're going to talk about St. Elmo's Fire. This is a movie from 1985. So, first, Mike, before we start about this, I just want to, because of the name and a lot of people maybe have heard of that before if they haven't heard of the movie. I did a little research. So here's what St. Elmo's Fire actually is. St. Elmo's Fire is a weather phenomenon where there's bright glowing electrical discharge that appears around pointed objects like ship masts, aircraft, things of that nature during thunderstorms or sometimes when the atmosphere is highly charged. It's a type of corona discharge. What that means is the air molecules around the object are ionized by that strong electric field, and that causes them to emit a little bit of light. And it's typically blue or violet light. So while it looks pretty dramatic when people see this phenomenon, it's generally harmless, but it can indicate a presence of strong electric fields and potentially dangerous weather conditions. So now, historically, Mike, sailors and aviators alike have long observed this phenomena, and some of them are like, "Hey, this is a good omen. It's a sign that of our patron saint." So the patron saint of sailors and aviators is Saint Elmo. It's a sign of his protection for them, while others just said, hey, that just means we see this phenomenon, that means stormy weather's coming. So in the movie now, this is a bar where the main characters have met and partied like throughout college, and not and they just hang out there now. Throughout the movie, they have just gotten out of college and now they're still meeting at this place. And one of the characters works there, right? So, um, and of course, the name for the movie is a metaphor, and we'll talk about that. Um, so good research, Mike. I thought I did pretty good on that.
No, absolutely. And I'm glad that they went with the name that they did because I was doing a little research too. Two other possible titles that I'm glad they didn't go with. One was Spark, and the other one was The Real World, which, as we know, eventually became a reality show on MTV, I believe.
I never watched it, but yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So okay. First thing I want to talk about as we get into this. First, did you? I think I know the answer to this, Mike, but have you seen this movie? We both prepare for this podcast by watching the movie a week or so, or even a day or so before. But before this, have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I had seen it, Gonzo. I'll be honest, the only time probably that I saw it all the way through, I was either 13 or 14 years old. Didn't see it in the theater, watched it with one of my buddies on a VCR. Since then, I may have gone through it and watched a clip or two here or there through the years. But when I watched it over the weekend, it was the first time I'd seen it in full since the early 80s.
All right, there you go. So, and I remember seeing it back in the 80s, probably when it came out. I must have been in high school. I, I'm not sure the circumstances around it, but I know it's chock full of stars that were big in the 80s, and we're gonna hit the main characters in here in a few minutes. But I'd seen it way back and throughout. Every now and then it might show up on cable. In the day, I had seen parts of it. I don't know that I watched it all the way through since that first time I watched it back in the 80s. But so so my first take, I'm going to give it, and then you can give yours. This is a coming of age movie, and what strikes me, Mike, it's way different from our experiences because both of us, like, got out of high school and we're doing our thing or trying to do our thing. I wasn't doing nothing, right? I'm not lazy. I worked, but bottom line is, I ended up saying, hey, college isn't for me. I'm going to the military, and that struck me that it's a coming of age movie, people growing up and trying to become adults, but it's different than our experiences, and it's not really a big plot. It's like this plot, when that title, The Real World, that you were talking about, they were thinking about. Um, it's like, hey, you're kids in high school, then you're in college. Now college is over. What the hell you do? You got to be an adult now, right? And so it's not a big plot for the movie. It's just subplots about how each character is going through these things and how they connect and everything like that. So that's my take on it. It's your basic coming of age movie. What about your first take on it, Mike?
No, I can relate. Like you said, Gonzo, after high school, I went in the Marine Corps. So when I'm watching this, no one is having uh, exactly an experience I can relate to. And it's funny that you say no big plot because that's one of the big things I took away watching it recently is you think about what happened from beginning the movie to the end, and you're thinking there wasn't like a major climax. There wasn't one thing that's like, okay, there's this arc and here we're coming back down. It was more of it almost struck me as kind of a pop soap opera a little bit.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and it's interesting because it's sort of like I'm going to use that again because you put it in my head, the real world. Like everybody's living their own plot and has their own thing going on, and this is just showing how their interaction and maybe or interacting and maybe helping each other through some of it. So no, that's good. We got a common sort of first take on it. So I want to talk because there's no big plot, right? Like you said, the sort of the characters, and just go through the characters. There's seven main characters here. I want to go through them and sort of talk about them one by one, and that's how sort of we'll get to people to know what's going on here. But we're going to start with Billy, and I didn't put the last names on here, but you just watched the movie Billy. This is a person played by Rob Lowe. So there's a big name. People listening thinking, oh, okay, this is a guy that we still see on TV. Isn't he selling some sort of health supplements on TV now? Some because he's in shape still at his age or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, he's still looking great.
So what is your take on our character Billy, Mike? Tell us a little bit about what you got, what his story is, what you see is going on there.
Sure. Billy is a former frat boy. He plays the saxophone. He's married. He has a kid, but he mentally has never left college. I don't even know if Billy's left high school in terms of his life, what he wants to do. Uh, and to me, he is really, if there was one character that I would say was the heart and soul of the movie, it's Billy. And so even when Billy is not there, every time I hear a saxophone, because he's the sax player, because the sax is in the theme from St. Elmo's Fire, one of the themes, I just hear and see him throughout the movie. And it's almost like he is that transitional character that represents what everyone else is going through.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when I think about Billy, I'm thinking a couple things. Like this guy, like you said, he's got Peter Pan syndrome, right? He's not wanting to grow up. He wants to stay on the island of Lost Boys and be a boy the whole time. Only thing is, some of these other characters we'll talk about. They're giving him a chance, trying to get him jobs and trying to hook him up with things, but he's just sort of, now he is married in this, right? And that character's not very big in it, and he's got a kid. I don't know if they actually said they were married, but he's definitely got a kid with a woman and lives with her. And um but he's always out partying with his friends, and his band is playing at St. Elmo's Fire in the bar and stuff. And man, I'm telling you, this guy, it's like, we all have one of these in our family. And I'm just going to ask people to think about it. This guy has got a lot of potential, right? This guy has got talent. He can play that saxophone. He's a very likable person. This guy's a good looking person. This guy gets along with people and can make friends easily. And but he's doing nothing with his life. So we all have someone like this in our family. And I'm going to caution. This is a call out caution to the listeners. If you're sitting there and you're thinking, you know what? I don't have anybody like that in my family. Guess what? It just might be you. So look yourself in the mirror there. So because every family's got one, right? So, but this guy just can't get together. You know what I think he needs, Mike? You know what?
What's that?
He needs to join the army or the Marines or something, right? He needs to join the military, get himself squared away. And his plot is just sort of his plot going through there. He's just like getting in trouble, falling apart, trying to cheat on his girl, not being a responsible father, getting fired from jobs, doing weird things, right? And just going back to the frat house. He actually has that. There's that one scene, right? He goes back there and plays football with them. They have fun, and they're just sort of at the end. He's like, "Man, I feel like I'm at home." And they're like, "Hey, man, you got any weed or something?" Were they asking him for weed? So it's like that's really what you're good for to them. You're the old guy, hopefully. So that's Billy. What else do you have to say about Billy, Mike?
The only thing it struck me, and I had to look this up because I was telling my wife, I said, when I watch this movie, when I look at Billy, I get this Lost Boys vibe. And then when I looked it up, Joel Schumacher, who directed this, and he also directed The Lost Boys, because I said, when I look at Billy, I see one of the Lost Boys vampires, and the sax was really heavy in Lost Boys too.
Oh,
So
really?
I know that's kind
Yeah.
of off topic, but.
Yeah, that's an interesting take for sure. Yeah, this guy, he's just a mess. And I think by the end, right, uh, they're finally putting him on a bus. He's going to go where, to New York or to somewhere to try to make it big with his saxophone or something. I guess that was his. He starts by the end of this movie. It's sort of almost the last scene, right, where they're putting him on a bus and they're like, he's going to go try to make it now. He's not going to, maybe he'll fail, maybe he won't, but he's gonna try to follow his talent and see what makes something of himself. So sort of hit the whole movie for him. He's getting from that little kid, like you said, or that high school, that college frat boy, and then now he's just finally by the end of the movie, he's like, okay, I'm going to try something. I got to grow up, right? So,
Sure.
all right. So, that's Billy, and we're going to probably revisit him a little bit as we hit the other characters because they're all intertwined, right? So we want to talk about Kirby. Kirby is played by Emilio Estevez, and I don't know, for those people who aren't aware, this is Charlie Sheen's brother, which Martin Sheen obviously is their father. He's a for people who maybe are a little younger, maybe they don't remember Martin Sheen, but come on, Apocalypse Now, we got to, come on. So this is Kirby. What's your take on Kirby's story? Like, what is Kirby's part in the story, Mike?
Well, it's funny, and again, that's what having benefit of several decades in between the movie, because I know I had one take when I watched it. Uh, Back in the 80s, and I think you'll echo this, Gonzo. Uh, I'm not saying it was the right message to send, but if you look at the plots of so many of the love stories of the 80s, uh, they were sending the message that, hey, if a girl's ignoring you, all you have to do is badger and stalk her and follow her around enough, and she'll eventually start liking you. And so when I look at him with fresh eyes, he would probably have the cops called on him before the end of this movie. And there was one scene in particular where he's looking for his love interest, and he's screaming up at her roommate in the building, trying to find out where she is, and he's threatening her if if she doesn't tell him where she is. And instead of calling the cops, she gives him the address. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But he comes across as overall good natured, but there is this stalker vibe that he's not taking no for an answer.
Yeah, yeah. He's obviously these people in this movie, they just graduated college. So he's got a degree. He's trying to get some different types of jobs, but it's like so the story is, and what's the name of the actress of the lady he's stalking? Yeah,
Yeah, Andy McDowell.
yeah, Andy McDowell. So she's the lady for those who might not be able to catch that. She was the one in Groundhog Day, right? With Bill
Hmm.
Murray.
Yep.
So pretty lady, but the thing is, she's like a doctor, right? Like he met her when he was a freshman in college, and she was a senior, so she's older than him, and then she's now a doctor or in her residency or something. And he sees her at the hospital, and he's like, oh, this is this chick that I had this huge crush on when I was a young freshman, and now he's going to try to like impress her. I feel like he's got his degree, he's getting jobs, but he's trying to get jobs like so he can impress her, so she'll like him. Like you said, all this sort of like he's putting all the marbles in into this chick, right? And he's like, I mean, she's the problem is though, I don't know if you agree, she plays with him a little bit. Like she's like, well, maybe we can get a drink sometime or something. Or and then she finally like says like, okay, well, like we can meet for lunch or something, right? Remember that he's waiting in that
Oh yeah.
restaurant, and then she, gets a call or something that she's on call and she's got to go. So maybe he'd back off if she was just like, hey, yeah, I'm not really into you, but she doesn't really totally. She's trying to be nice to him, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like in excuse me. So he's who's he seemed to be connected to in the movie? What character? Like, I mean, I know there's seven good friends, but it seems like
Yeah.
he's the one who works at St. Elmo's Fire, the bar, right?
Yeah.
And so he's working there as he's trying to get his career going. So he's an interesting guy. He seems like a likable guy, but like, yeah, once you see it, I feel you. He's a stalker, but
Hmm.
I think if she just said, "Hey, stop it," right, that might be good.
Oh yeah.
So So we'll hit Kirby again, but I want to talk about Wendy. Now, I'm going to tell you this, Mike, and I know you're not going to agree with this. Like, why is this character here? I thought, like, when you make a movie and you tell a story, there's supposed to be something interesting about it. There's nothing interested about Wendy. Wendy's played by Mare Winningham, and I don't even like I. Why am I saying telling that name? Because nobody out there listening knows who the hell Mare Winningham is, except for you, Mike. Right? Can you explain that?
Yeah, like you and I were having a conversation one time, and Mayor Winningham came up, and I said she was in the Thornbirds. Uh, she was even a secondary character in that. And she's one of those individuals, whether you're talking about men or women, I think Mare Winningham just always has that mature way about her that she probably looked like an adult with a mortgage and life problems when she was 15 years old. She just
Yeah,
kind of has that vibe about her.
yeah, she dresses like a grandmother. She's like in the movie at least.
Yeah.
She's like not trying to be all that pretty and made up and everything. She's working as a social worker. Her father wants to like her her to get another job and marry some other guy that from his business or whatever, some guy who's maybe an assistant manager or something or other where he's working. And I forget what he does. That's not important. But she's now they make a point to say that to let you know in the movie that she's a virgin. So she's all been through high school and graduated college. And she's a virgin. And Billy, Rob Lowe, she likes him. She's got a crush on him, and he's always joking with her about being a virgin. So, and by the end of the movie, right before Billy's getting on this bus, right? This is so she's intertwined with Billy in this movie more than anyone else, I feel, right? And because she's in love with him or whatever, and but he's just too much of a wild man. But he does finally get her to lose her virginity with him before he's going to get on the bus, right? Um, which, you know, I don't know. In Billy's mind, he thinks he's helping her out. I don't know what I think about that because Billy's growing up and getting ready to go, and he's like, I'm going to do this for you and prove that that you're fine and it's not all that and I'm not the guy for you, but she likes Billy and I don't understand. Can you explain to me how the heck does she like takes Billy to her parents' house or something for
Yep.
dinner? And like, how is this working when she knows Billy's got a baby with this other girl?
Oh yeah. And and that was one of my favorite scenes as far as laughs go because they were sitting at the dinner table and she's got this uh, relative that's gossiping about everyone she knows, and every time she gets to the embarrassing part of their life, she whispers it.
Yeah,
And Billy's kind of taking this in. So when he asked Wendy and Billy how they met, and that's when Billy leans over and he said, "Prison."
yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, I don't know. I don't. She's not my favorite character.
yeah.
Anything else to say on Wendy here?
The only side note, and you may find this interesting, Gonzo, is that at the time they shot this movie, Mare Winningham was 26 years old. She had a child already, and she was pregnant with her second child during filming. So, if you've seen it before or you ever watched St. Elmo's Fire, watch how they shoot the different angles in terms of 90% of the time she has her arms folded in front of her. She's holding something in front of her to kind of I guess camouflage that.
That reminds me of like the show, the TV. I know this is a wormhole, but the TV show MASH. The guy who plays uh, um, uh, what's his name? Radar O'Reilly.
Hmm.
Gary Berghoff, I think is his name.
Yeah,
He has something wrong with one of his hands. Like it's a deformity or something's wrong. And like so, if you watch that show, that hand is always hidden. But he's a huge active role. Like he's
yeah.
everywhere in that show. And but he, I don't think he ended the show, but he was for
Hmm.
when he was in the show, because ended up the other guy took over as a company clerk or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
so they shot that whole show making sure he had something in his hand or he's at an
Hmm.
angle or something. So that's interesting. I had no clue that she was pregnant during the
Oh
film.
yeah.
Sort of crazy. So all right, we're moving on characters. We're gonna move on to Leslie. Ali Sheedy plays Leslie, and for anyone who's Ali Sheedy, it doesn't ring a bell. Ali Sheedy was the girl who was like they called the basket case in the Breakfast Club, and Mike and I just also sort of bumped into this that she was also the love interest of Matthew Broderick in War Games, where she looks really young in that, but
Hmm.
in this one, she looks good. She's pretty. She's not like they weren't trying to make her look bad like they did in Breakfast Club. So now her story, her character, what do you think about that, Mike? What do you think? What's your take on what's her journey here?
Yeah, she was almost a secondary character, I thought, through most of the movie up until toward the end, where you get more of a sense of, and I want to skip ahead too much, but kind of how Andrew McCarthy's character felt about her. She was just kind of the relationship with Judd Nelson, who is it seems like he's this aspiring politician.
Yeah.
Um, so she actually comes more to the forefront toward the end of the movie, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, and that character Judd Nelson plays. We'll talk about him in a minute. Is Alec. So it's like Ali Sheedy. She's living with Alec with Judd Nelson, and this is Leslie. So, but she's living with him. It's like clear that they were like a couple all through college, um, and so they've got this relationship, and it's just like sort of like, oh, like everyone's assuming they're going to get married, and like, yeah, he's trying to be a politician or something. He's working for someone in Congress or the mayor's office or something or other.
Mhm.
Um, and she's like the girlfriend, she's the tag along, but like I get the feeling like during that thing, yeah, she got her degree and she's got a job, she's doing decently in her career, it seems like. um and she's just with this guy Alec, and but yeah, by the end but uh Kevin and Alec, Kevin's Andrew McCarthy, and we'll talk about him in a minute. By the end of the movie, it's like she's like, hey, listen, both of you, I need time away from you because one's a longtime boyfriend and one's like not really even a love interest. I feel like she used him as
Mhm.
like what do they call that when a breakup, when you get over a breakup?
Oh,
There's a name for that, right?
yeah, Rebound.
Yeah, like a rebound,
Yeah.
rebound sex, right? So um it's not like she doesn't like him, but she's like, yeah, we're friends and this happened and fine, but and there was alcohol involved and everything. So yeah, she just sort of is sort of a sideline character. It
Mhm.
seems like she's one of the group, and but she's squared away, right? She's like got a job, she's doing well, she's doing fine, but she ends up because um, she's going out with this Alec guy, but it was like they broke up because she caught him cheating, correct?
Yep.
Yep. And so the guy that she grew up with or not or went through college with, and they were the steady dates, and now they've got an apartment, and now they're trying to start their careers and be adults. Suddenly everything seemed like it was set in stone, and they knew what direction it was going in, and suddenly she's like, oh well, hey, I'm not doing this. And then they're actually pretty funny when they're moving out of the house. They're like, no, that's mine. Like, who owns what and everything. They have a scene like that when they're talking about, no Bruce Springsteen leaves this house or whatever, right? And I was thinking when I hear that, I'm thinking, Bruce Springsteen's not my favorite, so I'd be like, I don't see why that's but the records I was listening to back in the 80s, I'm sure they didn't have them, right? So, um,
He
but yeah,
did.
what else do you have to say about Leslie and her character here?
Well, definitely, because I know you are a huge music fan. So I was thinking about you during those lines, and when he said you can take all the Billy Joel, and I thought I just had to wonder. I wonder if the director or somebody had it out for Billy Joel because they just kind of stuck that in there. I said,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, they did. That was interesting. And I wonder even if it was like sometimes, that's not even a line that's in his lines and he just made that up. It could be too.
oh yeah.
If he like doesn't like Billy Joel or something, I don't know what would be behind that. But
Hmm.
yeah, so that's Leslie. So that brings us to Kevin. Kevin is played by Andrew McCarthy, and Andrew McCarthy, like I'm thinking like he's been in things. The other thing I'm thinking of him in is he not the rich guy who's a jerk in is this is it Pretty in Pink?
It's Pretty in Pink.
Yep.
And I think James Spader is definitely a jerk. I can't remember whether McCarthy is a jerk or whether he's just kind of aloof in that.
I mean, he's the one that he sort of just was the rich guy in the. Is it 16 Candles? No, not 16 Candles. It's Pretty in Pink, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. But he's playing. He went to college. He got out. He's part of this group of friends, but he like is not good with girls. He's awkward. Um, but and he's a writer, right? He works for some
Mhm.
newspaper, and so he's trying to get his foot in the door there. But he's sort of like an artsy guy, right? And sort of like the writer type, and he's really thoughtful type of guy and everything. But he's like in love with Leslie, with Ali Sheedy, right? this
Hmm.
whole time, like because his best friend and the guys seems like he's Alex's good buddy, right? Which
Yeah.
is Judd Nelson, and so they're good buddies all the time, and because so he's like going around like this whole time hanging out with them. He's the third wheel, and he's totally in love with her. Like he's seen her and watched her. And it's funny, there's a lot of that weirdness. Kirby's stalking someone, and Andrew McCarthy's sitting there with his best friend, just like just totally worshiping his best friend's girlfriend. So that's a little bit that's a little bit weird too. Um, so so in him, he's just trying to. It seems like that's his role in the movie. It's like he's in this
Hmm.
movie to be there for the rebound sex with Leslie, and then he totally thinks this happens, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in love now. We're a thing." And she's like, "Well, yeah, not really. Like, I mean, that's how I read it, right?" And it's it's that's really what he's doing. He's doing okay in his job. He's not happy because he'd really like to be a real writer, like writing novels or something. I take it or something, but he's just walking around like I'm sure he could get a girl of his own if he tried, right? I mean, when you're in college, come on. And but no, he's just stuck on Leslie. Um, and he knows, right? Does he know? Is that your take that he knows that Alec Judd Nelson is cheating on her all the time?
Oh yeah.
Because he talks
Yeah.
to he tells him about it, right?
Well, we never really know whether we know he punches him. Alec punches Kevin because he thinks that he told him, but Leslie claims that no, I just suspected, but now it's confirmed
Yeah,
because you're freaking out.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
for sure, for sure. So like, but I mean, the other side is Judd Nelson does tell him. He's like telling him about his escapades,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So he knows. So he's in love with Leslie, Ali Sheedy, and
mhm.
he's like sees how bad Alex treating her, so that he feels just really bad. Like he's in conflict with his good buddy because he's always it's like, oh, I have this great buddy, but like he treats his woman like terribly, right? So that's sort of his thing, and he thinks that like he's got it made when he has, she comes over when she's is it just it was it right after a fight or when she's totally kicked out? No, it's
Yeah.
after
That's when she gets kicked out.
she gets kicked out of, and then she needs a place to stay, so she goes to his apartment. And doesn't he live with one of the other guys?
I couldn't, I never could figure out whether they lived together or whether he was just over at his apartment all the time.
Who? Which
I think thinking about Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby. I think that might be the connection with Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby's other thing besides stalking, right? Yeah. So yeah, Andrew McCarthy, and by the end of the movie, for him, he's like, okay, I got to live with it. Like you know, I think it's funny. A lot of this movie ends up for me being, I think these subplots are people like, I have this idealized idea of what life should be and how things should work.
Hmm.
Like Kirby thinks he's going to get this doctor to love him if he just keeps badgering her. Um, you know, Kevin just thinks he's going to, he's going to be happily forever after with Leslie. Um, Alec thinks that he's going to just, they're going to get married. He's going to have a wife on the side and still be able to play around, and he's going to be a big politician. And all these people are coming to, I guess the end. They're like, oh, this isn't really going to work out like I thought it did, which is
Hmm.
a lot like the real world, right? There, I brought it back again for you.
Sure.
So anything else on Kevin here, Andrew McCarthy?
I would just say that to me, Kirby and Kevin are two sides of the same coin because they're both interested in women. Not exactly the same, but it's like unrequited love. But Kevin has this like depressive philosophical state that he's going through life in, while Kirby, he's like the eternal optimist. Like
Yeah,
you just cannot shut
yeah,
him down.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and also, I feel like we have to mention there was a great character that we only saw two or three times, but she played the prostitute that Kevin kept seeing in the street,
yes,
and was telling about his life. She told him she always thought he was gay because she never saw him showing any interest in her, any women. But she was almost like a Yoda figure. I swear you're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I thought of Fight Club and
Okay.
Tyler Durden. I said, does this lady even actually exist, or is she just there
Yeah, yeah,
for
no,
Kevin to share the thoughts and give
that's valid.
wisdom?
I hear that is valid. And you know, it's funny because not only her, but so Jules, who we're going to talk about in a minute, who's played by Demi Moore, Jules is actually thinks he's gay, right? Because
Hmm.
she's trying to hook him up with a guy in her hallway of her building
Right.
who's gay, and so she thinks he's gay. But it's funny the reason she really came to the conclusion that he's gay because
Hmm.
she's like one of these chicks who's got a group of friends and is very into, you know, friends with benefits, casual sex type of thing.
Hmm.
And she's just like, how come you never like did anything? So
Right.
he's like, oh, I could have done that. Like, you know, I'm not, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. But so, okay. Yeah, no, I get you on Kevin. And that's an interesting point about that prostitute. Um, we're going to move on to characters and talk about Judd Nelson. Judd Nelson is Bender from Breakfast Club. That movie, that role made him as that's what people. I think it almost typecast him too much, right?
Yeah.
Because but he plays the squared away guy, smart guy who's probably majored in political science and is going to he's working in politics and he's going to eventually, like in his mind, run for office, and he's got his tight squeeze there. What's your take on what's his journey?
Uh, to me, if you just look on the surface of the characters, they present Billy as kind of the wishy-washy, still living the young life, breaking people's hearts, but he's good-natured. I think he's well-intentioned. If you look at Alec, Alec strikes me as almost a sociopath or a narcissist because he just wants to live his life. He wants to do what he's going to do. Uh, he wants to have, Ali Sheedy wants to have her character as by his side while he's climbing the political ladder, but he still wants to do uh, everything else he wants to do. And hey, I'm not saying that that's completely uncommon for young guys,
Yeah,
but
or for politics.
exactly. So definitely he's not necessarily an outlier. But then when we get to the end, they almost play the scene where he's lost uh, Ali Sheedy or uh, what is Ali's character's
Leslie,
name?
Leslie.
Leslie. So he's lost Leslie, and you see him remorseful. But the way that I really interpret that is, if they ever did actually get back together, he's just gonna cheat on her again because that's really kind of who he is, and he doesn't really have a great character arc, in my opinion.
No, no, I hear you. He's the guy who thinks he's got it all figured out. He thinks he knows where his future's going. He's got his degree. He's gonna be in politics. He's got his trophy wife, and then he's gonna mess around on the side because she's gonna be good. He thinks he can control her, right? And like he'll do what he has to do. He is nice enough to try to like help some of these guys get positions. Like there's a little bit of talk about where he's like, "Hey, I got a connection. I know a guy. He can give you a position."
Mhm.
And I feel like that's with Billy. He tried to get him something, um, um, and and
Mr.
maybe
Kim.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was Alec, and Alec met Mr. Kim through his political connections and that office he's working in. And this guy needed an assistant or so, a house sitter or whatever it was. But
Mhm.
so he is trying to help. He's got a little bit of trying to be nice, and he's decently sort of a tight friend with Andrew McCarthy, um, which what's that name again? Kevin, right?
Kevin. Yeah.
So he's got some qualities that could be okay, but yeah, he just doesn't care about anybody. And yeah, if he gets back, and at the end, it's sort of like okay, they agreed as three, like the both of these guys are vying for Leslie, and she's like, listen, I'd time off for both of you, right? Like yeah, you both like me, but I need some time by myself, which is probably the best thing for her. And she'll end up in reality down the road in the story with with a normal guy somewhere.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that means not one of them to me. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's funny. I get a little bit, and I was wondering. I'm thinking I'm going to ask you a question here.
Mhm.
A little bit of the way his character is. I was like, he's sort of almost playing the same character as Bender about
Yeah,
how he interacts with people. And I was thinking, is this just like Judd Nelson's good at playing this type of person? Because he's totally opposite from Bender. It's
yeah.
like two, right? He's totally squared away. He's dressed nice
Mhm.
and he's well presented. And Bender's just a mess. But they both
Mhm.
treat people like crap, right?
Yeah, and nobody's going to ever know the real them.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
So
I think that's a good point.
yeah, so but so his journey at the end, he's like, okay, I got to just step. Like my plan is not going to work out, and I don't think he learned his lesson. I think, frankly, he's going to keep working. And sometimes, in at the end of a story, there's a transformation. Someone's like, okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to grow up, or I'm going to do whatever. This thing, I think he's just like, well, I hope I get her back, but I don't
Hmm.
believe that he's going to, like you said, he didn't show anything in the character in the story that he's like, oh, like I'm going to be good now and change, and I've learned my. No, he's just like, I wish I had her, right?
Sure.
Um, so sort of a mess of a guy, but you know, I don't know. I think it was pretty good in terms of talking about maybe a lot of the personalities we see in politics.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're moving to the next character. This is Jules, played by Demi Moore. Now, for me, this is, probably if we've got a group friends, a girl who's really okay with friends with benefits, probably someone you'd like to know when you were in high school and college.
Oh, sir, sure.
but and she's pretty, right?
Yeah.
But she, she's trying to impress her father, right?
Hmm.
Apparently, and because I guess she grew up my take was she grew up, it was a separation, and her father was, so she didn't live, but she wanted to really impress him, and she's like got a job, she's trying to do her thing, but she's not doing really well at it because she still likes to be the party girl. So she's a little bit like Billy still in that respect, but she's spending all her money, right? In this nice apartment and all this furniture, and she's just going crazy with it, and because she cares about what other people think. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, she falls apart, right? She's the one, whereas the big scene that sort of gets everyone back together, right? By the end, she's like trying to kill herself, right? Is that how you
Yeah.
were reading that?
Yeah. Or at least a cry for help at a minimum.
Yeah, yeah. She's a mess. She had been clearly, like, Billy was trying to, you know, um, get with her in her
Hmm.
Jeep. I guess it's her right outside of the house. Like, this is a thing. I'm going to tell people listening out there. Let me tell you something. If you are married, um, whether you have children or not, when you get off work, you go hang out with your wife and do married people things. You don't go out to bars with other chicks. This is not this, and for women too. This is a thing. That's a sign of problems. People I know, and I know some people in my life, Mike. I'm sure you
Hmm.
do too. They're like, oh, like, yeah, I'm having Friday night out with the boys. I'm like, well, that's not going to
Hmm.
last forever, because if you think the rest of your life you're going to go party and hang out and go to bars where you're seeing other women and eventually you're going to do something stupid, maybe that's not good for the marriage, right? I just I'm just telling people. So
Yeah.
um and so she needs to grow up. She shouldn't be hanging with Billy, and by the end she sort of had it. She's like, I can't do this anymore, Billy, right? Because I think she
Hmm.
sort of is realizing, man, we have to transform. We've got to be changing. Although her world seems to be crumbling around her as the creditors and everything's happening and she's losing her job. This is why she goes over the edge, and tries to, like, it's a cry for help. I think that's better because it would take you a long time to freeze to death, right?
Hmm.
In freaking November or whenever it was supposed to be, in Washington, D.C., right?
All right.
So what's your take on her story? What's the journey for Jules, Mike?
Uh, well, one thing that I really picked up on with her, if you watch her through the movie, she's trying to control everybody else's life. She thinks she's got everybody else's life figured out. You should be going out with this person. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And she is the one character. Uh, all of them have their flaws, of course, just like in life, we all have our flaws. But she probably has the most going on and the least control of her life. Uh, you see her with that coke habit
Yep.
throughout the movie. And then another bit of trivia, Demi Moore uh, had a coke addiction as they were making that movie and was ordered to rehab as a condition of finishing the movie.
Really.
Yeah. So I
That's
don't
got to be
know.
hard for her to have, for them to have her acting that out when she's trying to kick it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That,
wow, that's crazy.
that made me wonder if some of the coke she was pulling out wasn't just some extra footage that they had nailed of her on the scene.
Yeah, you never know. And it's funny because if you think psychologically, the part to control and to be like sort of setting the example and giving other people advice all the time,
Hmm.
and like you should be doing this or this would be great for you, like that's like the facade she holds up. Because if you're the person giving advice and all this all the time, it's like people are assuming someone's giving me advice that seems pretty good, maybe.
Hmm.
You're assuming that this person is squared away because you
Right.
wouldn't. And so she's like, she's feeling like if she gives people all this advice and tries to tell people what they should be up to, and like that's her way of saying, see how squared away, how I've got everything under control, but it's not right. It's totally falling apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then she's the one who she said she thought Kevin was gay because he never just tried something with her. One of those
Hmm.
late nights out drinking or hanging out talking or whatever in the dorms or whatever. She was almost like wishing he had, it seems like. So
Right.
that's part of her identity too, to be wanted, right?
Yeah.
If a lot of guys want to get with her, that's like replacing for she's probably got the most issues psychologically, right?
Hmm.
Because she's like replacing that type of that sexual love with relationship for her father, right? She's missing that
Yeah.
man. She feels like her father doesn't love her because that's at the end. What did she call her father's
Oh, the step monster.
the step monster? So
Yeah.
yeah, her father's wife and the step monster I think is onto her, right? That's
Yeah.
probably why she got that, realizes that she's sort of a wreck,
Hmm.
and is probably criticizes her. But at the end of the day, it seems like she doesn't really not like her, because I
Hmm.
think she sort of said some kind words about her during
Right.
one of her meltdowns or something, right?
Hmm.
So she's
Yeah.
just a mess. She actually is like, if her and Billy would get into a relationship, it would just crash and burn, and they'd both end up dead in the gutter somewhere
Yeah.
because they're just both a wreck. Very, very fun people to hang out with. Like if you wanted to go out on the towns, hit some bars with them, like back in the day when you're that age,
Yeah.
like they both would be a blast to be with, right?
Sure. And
It,
both
it
great looking too. You could
yeah,
absolutely see them
it,
together, but neither one of them has it together.
exactly. Not at all. Just a mess. So her story by the end is she opens all the windows in her apartment. She locks herself in. Um, and that's a pretty, that's sort of, if there's any climactic sort of scene, it's like brings all the friends back together, right?
Hmm.
Does everyone show up for that? I don't think Mayor Wendy was there.
Yeah,
Was
that one I don't remember.
Yeah, because she's so unmemorable. So
Right.
she didn't even have to be in the movie. I'm
She
telling
could have
you.
been in the forefront and I would
Yeah,
have totally
yeah.
looked past her.
And maybe they're like, well, she's pregnant. We don't want to put her on a catwalk, right? Or
Right.
not a, what do they call that? The fire escape, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, no, it sort of, but it sort of brings everyone together, and everyone's sort of like, so if there's any story in the movie, all these little subplots come together, and they're all like, hey, we have to be friends with each other no matter what, and still support each other,
Hmm.
right? Um, and then that's when Billy gets in. Billy's now working at a gas station. Okay, I got to call this out too.
Hmm.
Like, you don't just pick up like welding equipment and start welding,
Yeah.
because like Judd, now they're all trying to do it. Like I'm like,
Uh-huh.
you don't know what you're doing. Now I'm
Right.
not going to say I know what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I don't weld,
Yeah.
but they're just thinking I'm turning on the gas and we're going to do like to get through the windows in her. This is unrealistic, and I know it's just a movie,
Right.
but bad. What did you think about that?
Oh yeah. No, I think it's good that you picked up on that. I didn't even honestly I didn't even think about it, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Uh
like what are the chances any of these smart guys who went to Georgetown University um, probably got scholarships. What are the chances any of them took shop class and learned how to weld? I don't think so.
And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Gonzo, because I think it's around that time, that scene, it really took me back to being a teenager because this is the kind of stuff we did in the 80s. You remember when Billy was, I think he was sitting on the floor with Jules.
Yep.
And first of all, disclaimer, anyone listening to this, if you've never heard of this, do not try this at home. This can be dangerous. Again, do not try it at home. But we used to take aerosols, hairspray, Lysol, whatever, and you could make a homemade flamethrower with a cigarette lighter. Then you're lighting the lighter, then you're spraying it, and yeah, that can be a dangerous thing. But when I saw Billy do that, that took me back.
Yeah, and that's the one thing about that scene. That to me, that's the metaphor of the movie, right? Like
Hmm.
like Saint Elmo's fire, like generally harmless,
Hmm.
but it can talk about stormy weather
Yeah.
and unpleasant conditions, you know? So it's like, hey, we're growing up. There's going to be stormy weather. So he sort of
Hmm.
shoots that aerosol he gets in her room, right? Because like I guess she unlocked the door in the end before they broke it down. And
Yeah.
then he sits down with her and he's putting a blanket around her and he's talking. It's suddenly like, hey, the guy who's the total train wreck, he's actually going to have some wisdom here. And maybe he's
Hmm.
realizing it himself. And that's sort of the metaphor where it pulls for me from the name, the title of the movie, not just the name of the bar, right? St. Elmo's Fire. And he shows it like it's flashy. Wow, it looks dangerous, but like it goes away. And the bottom line is, you know, you'll get through this.
Hmm.
All you got to do is keep pushing forward and we'll all get through this. And especially, I feel like they all come together in the end and they're listening and
Hmm.
they're like, if we just take care of each other. So I guess that's sort of the message for me.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I think of anyone, he was the one that had the epiphany.
Yeah.
And uh, kind of like you could almost draw a parallel with some conversations you and I have had about hey, one day you just realize what am I doing? I'm having a great time. I'm hanging out with my buddies, but I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I think for both you and I, the answer was the military, but that's not the answer for everybody. But everybody can have that epiphany if their life is not going in the direction or they're not doing what they think they were meant to do.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I do think Billy needs to join the military 100%, bro. Definitely would help him. So, okay. Favorite part or scene? What do you got? If you'd say your favorite.
If I had to say one favorite, and again, I know I've called Kirby a stalker all the way through this episode, but definitely my favorite part was when he went up to the ski lodge. He's been trying to get Andy McDowell's attention, uh, and she's up there with her boyfriend. So he gets stuck in the snow. The next day, he gets up. They've been able to get his car out so he can leave and they think Andy McDowell, her boyfriend, think it'd be a good idea to get a picture. So while the boyfriend is in the cabin to get the camera, uh, he lays one right on Andy McDowell, like does the whole bends over, kisses her, stands her back up, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying the vibe that the movie gives you is that she sort of had a realization there that, wow, maybe I made the wrong decision uh, about not giving Kirby a second look. But it's like that's all he needed because you see him going down the road just like he just won a national championship. He's pumping his arm up and down, even though he knows they're not going to have a relationship, but he knows that he's somebody she'll never forget.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that's exactly my favorite scene
Are you serious?
as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So because it's like he gets it. He's like, she's not that special, right?
Yeah.
She's not a goddess. And because not only did he have to, he was going to sleep in the car. Remember when it gets stuck, when he
Right.
tries to go up there and she's like, hey, no, I'm not, it's not going to be like that for us. And he's like, screw this, I'm leaving. He can't leave. He's going to sleep in the car because he's like, now I'm upset. that I'm embarrassed because she's got some guy up there in the cabin and he can't get out. And they're like, the dude, he has to actually, guys, like, you're gonna freeze to death out here. You got to
Yeah.
come inside. They put him in front of the fire, put a blanket on him, and so right there, he's like, this is the lowest spot. He's like, he's just, it's got to be, embarrassing. And
Oh
then
yeah.
and then he does that to her in the morning. They're like, oh, here, we'll get a picture. And the part I love because this is him getting over the crush. He's like, oh, you know what? Whatever. I don't need her. I'm
Right.
fine. But I'm going to kiss her and just show her. And she's like, wow. Like she was like stunned and she wasn't like against it. She was like, oh, wow. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and, and then they give him, it's the Polaroid old school picture that comes out
Hmm.
right then. And it develops right there in the open air.
Right.
And after he just kissed her, they take the picture, he takes it and he gives it to her, right?
Hmm.
He gives her the picture. Like he's like, I don't even need this. I'm done with you. So
He
I
said,
thought
"You
that was a
keep it."
yeah, that's a great scene. So now she has this to remember that kiss by. And he's
Right.
like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm sure he's thinking, man, I was so stupid. Like, whatever. But
Yeah.
like any guy probably who has had a crush, right? And all guys have at one time or another. And then when you
Hmm.
finally get over that, you're like, what? Who cares? That's that
Right.
you act like a fool for so long. And then you're like, hey, I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. That person, and the message there for me is like, hey, if someone doesn't want to be with you, you know, why why are you giving them time in your life? You only have so much, right?
Right.
So if someone doesn't want it, it's not worth putting the effort to make someone wanna, because that's never going to happen, right?
Right.
So that's my favorite scene as well. So that's it astonishing to me that that was gonna that lines up for the both of us. And then I want to add too. There was a
Hmm.
scene near the start in St. Elmo's Fire in a phone booth inside the bar where there was I think there are two stickers. I think one said Q107,
Hmm.
something like that, and the one said Grease Man for President. Now that took
Yeah.
me back because back when I was a kid, for people who don't know who Greaseman is, this is a guy named Doug Tract, who was one of the first and probably to me most impactful what they call shock jock. You think of like Howard Stern, that's back when they were on the radio, right?
Hmm.
You can look up Greaseman tracks online, and there's plenty of recordings. To believe that this guy did the things he did on live radio in Washington D.C., I thought that was, now I don't know if that was a bar they used. I'm sure it was a bar they used that already existed down there in Georgetown, and I don't know if they set that up or if they just said, we're going to use this phone booth for the scene. And that Greaseman sticker was actually there because a big stunt this guy did said, I'll run for president during election cycle. And they made bumper stickers, grease and t-shirts and stuff. Greaseman for president. This guy
Hmm.
who's on the radio, who was fired a couple times for saying some very off color things. Right.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and then brought back because he was so popular. Right. So just had to add that. So if you're going to watch this movie, we're going to rate the stuff here in a minute, but man, check that out. That really brought me back because I used to listen to the Grease Man. Did you ever listen to Grease Man?
Oh yeah. When I was stationed at Quantico in the Marine Corps, and it was really big. Like you said, probably more time than I was there. Definitely, like you're saying. But in the '90s, I was listening to Greaseman all the time when I was in the car.
Yeah,
Great
and
stories.
yeah, he was there forever too. Because I remember when I was
Yeah.
delivering newspapers, and I don't know what age I was then. I was probably in ninth grade. I would get back from delivering newspapers in summer, and then because you don't have to go to school, you're done in the morning I was delivering the Washington Post, get back and turn on the Grease Man was on. So he was there for a long time. So okay, least favorite part or stupidest scene. I'm going to explain. I'm going to start here.
Mhm.
We'll see if we match up. Maybe I think stupidest scene. What the hell is Billy at that dinner with Wendy's family? What the hell is he getting on the roof for? What's going on here? What are you just trying to be a jerk? You're trying to mess things up, trying to like get attention. I don't understand what you're there. I don't understand what it has to do. Frankly, Wendy could get out of the whole movie, and then we wouldn't have that scene. It would be fine because I said she's uninteresting, and um, that's me because there's no reason for him to do that. Just otherwise, just to ruin their nice dinner party and be a jerk, right?
Yeah.
So that's my least favorite part and stupidest scene. What do you got?
Mhm. And this may not be a popular choice because I guess it had such a an important part of the movie. But probably my least favorite scene was Jules' cry for help. in that scene where she's depressed and everybody's gathering up. I like some of the stuff with Billy there in the scene. But overall, there were a lot of fun parts in the movie, and that just kind of drug things down there right toward the end. And I understand they may have needed to do that to have a complete arc for the story, but that was probably my least favorite part to watch.
Yeah, well, and the thing I think about it that is, I liked part of it how it brought everyone together, and it was sort of like then the guys, he's Alex pushing Kevin over
Hmm.
the fire
Railing,
escape
yeah,
and the railing. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but it did bring them back together. And Kirby in the hallway with the fire extinguisher. He's ready to break the door
yeah,
down, but then it's open and because she unlocked it or whatever, and he doesn't have to do that. So it brought them together. But like to me, yeah, your cry for help, you
hmm,
everything about your situation that you're all depressed about is your fault.
yeah,
You are overspending. You're not trying hard at work. You're going out and partying all the time. You're
hmm,
having issues, and you're just like, pining for your father. I don't know what's going to do if your father does have a good relationship. What do you want? Money from him? I don't know because
yeah,
she needed to grow up a little bit. So I
hmm,
agree with you. That's a good stupid scene. So it's funny that both of our stupidest scenes
yeah,
were Billy and Jules, right? The two people we said were train wrecks, right? So
yeah.
all right. What additional comments do you have about this movie here before we get on and try to do some ratings here?
Uh, I think I'll wait till the ratings part. I've said a lot of what I wanted to say, but I could say something now, but it really has more to do with the rating.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
so for me, additional comments, I'm just saying, listen, these characters, these actors and actresses, I guess you say all actors now, right? That's what people want to say, but man, we'll see them again and again and again. Really big in the 80s in a lot of movies together, crossing over each other. Like just for instance, Emilio Estevez was with Ali Sheedy and
Mhm.
Judd Nelson in Breakfast Club, right? The three of them.
Yeah.
Um, and and then Andrew McCarthy was it's like you could connect all these people. Andrew McCarthy with what's the lady who played the princess, I can't think of her name, in Breakfast Club, right? He was in that. So and she
Oh,
was in,
Molly Ringwald.
yeah,
Yeah.
Molly Ringwald was with those three in Breakfast Club, and then with McCarthy. So like a lot of
Mhm.
connections in tons
Yeah.
of movies. So it was just big. So anyone who's you know going to watch this movie, I mean, if you're not really familiar with the 80s, these are like people you're going to see again and again. Very famous. That was what they called the Brat Pack right back then. A lot
Yeah.
of those actors. So all right. So overall take. What's your overall take on the movie before we go into the watch it or trash it, Mike? Overall
Uh,
take.
overall take, I think it's a fun movie. It's one of those movies. If I never watched it again from beginning to end, I'd probably be okay. But but it is one of those movies where I wouldn't mind having it on in the background because, like we've talked about, it's so anticlimactic that um, you could just kind of have it, put it on at any given scene and just have it there and enjoy seeing some of those actors, actresses that you grew up with.
Sure.
It's got some fun parts, but you don't necessarily, you're not missing anything if you miss a big chunk of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to say my overall take is it's a coming of age movie. Whenever there's a movie where people are taking that journey from being young and sort of trying to find their way to adulthood, I think that's always interesting because it's different for everybody and there's different paths for everyone. And I like those types of movies where people start placing and they transform, or at least they're realizing they have to transform and then getting ready to move on. So that's my overall take. I sort of like that journey and that coming of age type of theme. So okay, what do you got? If we're gonna tell our listeners here, watch it or trash it, what say you, Mike?
I think if you've never seen it before, especially if it escaped you in the 80s, because you'll still have some of that nostalgia for the people, the places. And we say watch it or trash it, but I would even say listen to it because I don't know if we're going to get to that, Gonzo, but the soundtrack in and of itself almost made a bigger impact in the 80s, or just as much of an impact as the movie did when we had John Parr's Man in Motion. So that song, and then David Foster's St. Elmo's Fire theme.
Yeah, the theme is huge and the theme is memorable. Anybody who was around in the 80s, you'll just hear that. If you hadn't seen the movie, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've heard that. Very, very, sets the mood right for it, sort of that reminiscent of the old days and friends type of it's a
Mhm.
very that type of vibe. So I'm gonna say if you haven't seen it, watch it. Some good actors that you'll recognize and some subplots that are interesting. And I feel like everybody who at least one or two of those subplots, you're going to be like, I know someone who just like that, or
Mhm.
or I remember going through something just like that for myself. So I'd say
Yeah.
overall, I'd say watch it. I don't think you should throw that video cassette tape in the trash quite
Yeah.
yet. So rating, remember ratings. The worst rating is bathroom break. Take a break. It's not important. You don't need to see it. Next worst is no snacks. It's, I'm just going to sit there, maybe pay attention, maybe scroll on my phone. Next one, a Coke. Yeah, a little interesting. I'm going to drink a Coke. Um, if it's a step above that, above average, a Coke and popcorn. And if it's just incredible movie that you just loved to death, a Coke, popcorn, and a box of Raisinets. What's your rating, Mike?
I think I'd have to give it a Coke.
A
Uh,
Coke.
yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's definitely nostalgia for me. I love the soundtrack. I've probably got both those songs on playlists somewhere on Spotify. Uh, and a quick plug for John Parr. If it wasn't for the song Naughty Naughty, he would have been a one-hit wonder with Man in Motion,
There you
St.
go.
Elmo's Fire.
So yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna give this a Coke and some popcorn. I think because of the characters and because I'm from the 80s, it is so nostalgic for me. Not only just seeing the people in the movie, but being that it was in the Washington, D.C. area, which is where I grew up, right? Outside in the suburbs in Maryland. So
Mhm.
it brings back a lot of things like that for me, and just the vibe, the clothing, the everything. So I'm like, and I think the little subplots, like I said, I love those coming of age things. I see how people grow and figure, like Kirby figures out like, she's not all that, right? Whatever, I'm over it.
Mhm.
And these little things, and like this girl Leslie figures out like, hey, I don't need to be anchored with a man all the time, right? So
Yeah.
all these things. So I'll give it a Coke and a popcorn. I guess I'm the nicer of the two of us, right? So all right. So um, all right. So I think that about wraps the movie, Mike. So I'm just going to say, thanks for listening to Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR. If you enjoyed it, please follow or subscribe, depending on where you're listening. We would definitely really appreciate it. Now, if you have a movie you'd like us to watch, or just have a comment for us, or even if you just wanted to randomly send us money, we'll always take that, right, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so shoot us an email at gonzomikevcr@gmail.com. Again, that is GONZOMIKEVCR@gmail.com. It'll be checked once daily, right? I guess I'll take that on, Michael. So listen, our next episode, we're going to look at a classic 80s movie that still has a very strong franchise today. You want to tell them what it is, Mike?
Karate Kid.
Yeah, there we go. Karate Kid. I think most people are going to say they've seen that, so they'll really know what we're talking about here. So, okay, folks, I'm Gonzo.
Mike.
Until next time, VCR is produced by Gonzo and Mike. All rights reserved.
Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR.